fellow Ghanaians. I'm making this recording as my contribution towards the debate that is going on in terms of the oil money that is being used, as had been asserted by the NDC in Parliament for the senior high school policy the government has just introduced. The contention is that the oil money has been created and it is being reserved for the future, that according to the NDC in Parliament, that is their finance spokesperson at forcing, it is a policy or the law that it should not be touched and it should not be used. So they wonder why the government will want to use it. They never said it has the government has started using it. But the argument is that they feel that the government will be tempted to use it. Ever since the SHS was introduced, the beginning of this year, I think last year, ever since it was introduced, the argument has always been, where are the funds going to come from for it to be sustained? The argument should not be the oil money being used. The argument that all of us as citizens of the Republic of Ghana should be engaging in is, how do we sustain it? It has come and it must stay. Most of us, me for instance, I could have gone to secondary school. My father couldn't take me there. But we have one region, or at the moment there are 3 regions, and then they have access to secondary school free of charge. What about those of us in the south? Are we going to sit down and continue this petty politics, which will not lead us anywhere, as millions and millions of our children end up at the age 14 years. At the age of 14 years, you throw a child out of school, they have no source of income, they are not qualified for any employment, and the state is not concerned. And it's rather argument. Every single person in NDC, when they speak, is against the SHS policy. The argument before the elections was that they can never be implemented. It has been implemented. Why can't we have a change of heart and change of mind, that the thing has come to stay? It behoves upon all of us to make sure it works. But that is the nature of the Ghanaian. The Ghanaian will never like anything good for our society. They like it when millions of our people are uneducated, they are ignorant, and then they die of ignorance. Simple things that they could do for themselves, because they don't have the know-how to do it, they end up being killed. And that is a society that has been built for us ever since the so-called revolution that started in 1979, continued 1981 until the year 2000 by the NDC. The policy is that education is their target. They don't like it. They don't want us to be educated, because if we become educated, we shall be wise. We become wise, we will start questioning when decisions are made for us and we feel the decisions are not the right decisions. They want us to be like zombies, that whatever they will say must go. That is what they have worked for ever since the so-called 1979 revolution until today. So you question yourself, why are we silent? The 53% of you who voted, you voted to support the government to implement policies And most of you are silent. When this minority continue parading lies upon lies upon lies upon lies, it cannot be sustained. Where are you going to get the money from? Show us where you are going to get the money from. If I were the government, I'm even going to tax everybody to pay for it because it must be sustained. It must be sustained. If you take the whole of Africa, it is only in Ghana that a child is cut out of school at the age of 14 years. It is only in Ghana. All other countries, they end up in senior secondary school level, where at least after senior high school, if you are not able to go to university, then you can enter into any of the other tertiary institutions, or you can do technical, vocational. But age 14 years, what do you expect a child to do? That is what has been the case in Ghana. So I'm making this video so that we start engaging the people of Ghana on this. Wherever we are, it becomes our responsibility. Whatever village you are in, town that you are in, we have to start and speak with one voice, that we will make sure that senior high school should not be any one-day wonder, but it should be sustained for the future, the generations of our country. That is what it should be. All over Africa. All over Africa. In Ghana, we possess all the resources that should have catered for this long time ago. But nobody wants to do it. It started in 1964. Kwame Nkrumah, when Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown in 1966, there has never been any pragmatic policy on education. When Kufuor came to power, he tried his best, put certain measures in place until there was a change of government 8 years. And it goes back. If we want to be serious about, if we go to Wikipedia and we want to find education, you are going to see how far any time this country has gone into the hands of the National Democratic Government Council, they have dealt with education. Go there and see. I'm not saying this because I'm being biased towards anybody, but I am biased towards Ghana, that the Ghanaian child should not become the slave of anybody. We cannot continue being their slaves. We go to church, those of you who are Christians. The major obstacle facing us is timidity. We have not brought timidity upon ourselves. Timidity has been brought upon us by government upon government upon government. Kwame Nkrumah had the brightest idea that the Ghanaian child must be educated. Kwame Nkrumah started and opened so many institutions. Until these military takeovers here and there, then they make sure that all those policies, they were thwarted and destroyed. Rendered the present generation, most of them have not even been to school. That was not the plan of Kwame Nkrumah. At least by now, it is expected that if you are called a Ghanaian, you should be able to read and write. There is no way you have a Ghanaian who has not been to school, whether it's a girl, whether it's a boy. But we have had wicked leaders who are very, 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 very wicked. It is only about them and their families. We have parliamentarians ever since we came to democratic government in 1992. Started in January 1993. There has been 1,380 parliamentarians. Now, let's assume these 80 never had children, so they couldn't have educated their children. Now, what about 1,000? Let's assume 1,300, they were parents. Which of them took their children to the public schools? They destroy the public schools, and because they have the resources, they take their children to private schools where they can pay. And then they do politics with the children of the masses of the people who don't have the means to even take their children to secondary school. And they are not ashamed. They are debating this with all the strength they have to make sure it does not work. Since 1993 until today, there have been judges upon judges upon judges in our country. Those in the judiciary, go and ask them, where did they educate their children? Did they educate their children in the public schools? What about ministers that have been appointed since 1993 until today? Did they take their children to public schools? What about their deputies? What about those in the civil service? What about those public office workers? Then you come to see that as they take their children to better schools, then we are down there. They don't want us to be educated. Anyone who comes up with any idea that will give us that education, that quality education they have enjoyed, that becomes their enemy. So they are attacking this government's policy. Where is the money going to come from? We will make sure you don't use the oil money, so that we leave the oil money for them to be used to misapply, embezzle, and use it anyhow they want. Ghana has contracted 123 billion. 123 billion Ghana cedis ever since there's Mahama and then DC came to power. Now, if a country has gone out to take a loan, $20 billion, and then you sit down to hear that today in this modern era, we have people in the northern region that 3 different classes, they share one classroom. S1, S2, S3, all of them are lumped together in one classroom. I mean, people born of women can do this to fellow human beings. And we don't see anything wrong with that. We like it. We like it. So Ghanaians, it is time to rise up. It is time to rise up. The politicians, especially the president, especially the MPs, you elected them. You possess the power to decide who and who should be your leaders. And these people, when you have transferred your power to them, they hold it in proxy. They are holding the power on your behalf. You are the kingmakers. You have to decide what is best for you. You have not sent them to parliament to do politics for themselves. Their selfish ambition, wicked ambition, that is what they are exhibiting in our parliaments. They have never, because they are called minority, they have never seen anything good the government will do. And the plan is that all such measures should be frustrated. They do not succeed. Then poverty, they want us to be poor. And we like it. We like it. We like it. We run after them. Honorable. Give me 10 cedis, give me 5 cedis, give me 2 cedis. That's all we want. Whereas we could also be honorable if we educate our children. My call is to the fathers of our land, that the time has come for fathers to be interested in their education of their children, especially those of us from the Akan areas. We should not leave it to the women alone. Should partake in it. Make sure that the children that we have brought into this world, we are responsible for their future. We shouldn't leave it to our mothers alone. Now, if we are serious, we will fight these people who don't want our children to be educated, who do not want our children to end up in universities to become better people or better persons in the future, that they can stand on themselves. This is our time. This is our time to stand up and do away with timidity. Timidity has been with us for a long time. But those of you who are Christians, the Bible tells you that God hasn't given you that spirit. If you look at 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse number 7, God hasn't given us that spirit. So if you are timid, where is it coming from? The Bible says God has given us the spirit of power. He is giving us the spirit of love and sound mind. Each one of us, 27 million people roaming the streets of Ghana, you are given the spirit of power. It is imbued and built in you by God. No one can take it away from you. Therefore, there's no need for you to allow fear and timidity to get the better of you. That spirit is not coming from God. And we should not allow politicians to place that spirit in us. We will not accept it. God hasn't given it to us. We should begin to question them. When they do something that we don't like, they should be questioned. We should be bold. Because that is what our national anthem, the national anthem tells us, to be bold and defend the cause of freedom and of right. And fortunately for us, we have been built by God with the spirit of power, with the spirit of love, and the spirit of sound mind. We have the same mind as they have, the same power. Even we are powerful because we have transferred our powers to them to become leaders. God has even given us the spirit of fear. God hasn't given us the spirit of timidity, that we will sit down unconcerned and allow few individuals to take decisions that binds us. No. Ghanaian child must be educated. The Ghanaian child must be educated. He should be educated to university level, and it becomes the duty of the state, the government, to make sure that is done. We don't care where the money is going to come from. We will support any government that is in power and has the ability and the idea and the vision to make sure that every child that is born in Ghana has equal right to be educated, like their counterpart in Nigeria, like their counterpart in South Africa, like their counterpart in Kenya, like their counterpart in Rwanda, like their counterpart in the United States of America, like their counterpart in the United Kingdom and Europe. Because we are also a member of the United Nations. Whatever applies to any citizen of United Nations applies to the Ghanaian child. The Ghanaian child is not meant to be carrying logs, heavy loads on their head, to be roaming the street. No. At times I think we are even lucky. We are very, very lucky to get the type of youth we have in Ghana. Because if you look at how they have been destroyed, the generation that have been denied education, but at least they are content with the little that they have. We should make the future brighter for our kids. We should not allow these mindless politicians, selfish politicians, wicked, they are more than wicked, power to take their children to better schools. Then we become their slaves and continue to serve them. Rise up, Ghanaians. You have slept for a long time. You have slept over a long period of time. This is your time. This is your hour. This is your moment to rise up. Do away with fear. God hasn't given you the spirit of fear. Timidity is not part of you. You are the black star. The black star must shine wherever you are. You are different. Anywhere you go, you stand out. Be bold. Defend it that you are the black star. Not of Africa, of the whole world. Nobody can take that from you. We need to confront situations that are annoying, situations that do not build, situations that divide us. We should be bold. God hasn't given us a spirit of fear. God hasn't given us the spirit of timidity. Our God has given us the spirit of power, like anybody else. Like anybody else. We are entitled to anything the minister's child, the president's child, the parliamentarian's child is entitled to. If we are equally entitled to. I made this cassette, or this video. The purpose is to educate the Ghanaian. As I've already said, the Ghana man said, we are looking in our own small way to reach out to the Ghanaians so that we can also change our situation wherever we find ourselves. We should not place any limitation upon us. The potential that God has placed in us is unlimitless. There's no limit to the potential. I thank you for listening to this video, and I pray that we will all rise up and challenge fear, not allow timidity to be something that should divide us. Thank you.